Alright, we are getting back into it with the M37 pump action shotgun as seen as Resident Evil 7. So last time we completed the buttstock and now we're going to work on the pump mechanism. So I have an idea of how I want to do this. I don't know how well it's going to work, and we will not get the 4 shot capacity. I think we're only going to be able to do the one. But this idea should let us load in here, and then when we pump, we should be able to eject the shell out, which would be pretty cool. So, since this is just a barrel, I guess we should work on the pump maybe first, the pump mechanism. So we have the loading breech down here. So in order to create the, it's kind of hard to tell where that is, but basically a little door down here. So my idea for this is to create a door that's also a ramp that goes upward. And when you push a shell in here, there's going to be a hinge and a spring, and the hinge will allow it to kind of move upward when the shell's inserted, and the spring will be compressed during that point. So then when you release it, the shell's inserted, the spring will decompress and the door will close back down. So that's what we're going to go for today. Uh, uh, so I'm in object mode right now. I'm going to go into edit mode with tab, and then we're going to see about where we're going to want this. I don't think we'll need all of these. You know what? Let's just leave that one out. And then I'm going to subdivide, right click, subdivide, and let's get 2 because we want a doorway. Mm, actually, I already feel that's not the way to go. I think we should knife project because I think the loading breech is going to be kind of rounded like this point. Let's see what we can use. Maybe we can use the trigger hole here, just to save some time, because it already is that shape. See if we can grab it. Like those. Let's get this edge as well with Alt left click and then Alt Shift left click to add to the selection. And then I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate it, and we'll just bring it over here. And I don't think we'll need that vertice, so I'm going to right click and dissolve that vertice. And then we are going to rotate along the y-axis 90 degrees. And then let's see if we can get the middle point of this guy. I think it's that one. You know what? We'll just do it the easy way. Let's select it and then hit P, separate selection, and then go back into object mode with tab, click on this, right click, and then we'll set origin to geometry. That'll give us the center point right there. And then we can easily grab with X-ray mode on. Let's actually go into this view. X-ray mode on, we'll grab those two. And we'll hit L. Oh, hovering over it, we'll hit L to select everything. And then we will try to get to the center of our shotgun here. Let's go to snap, make sure active and vertex are selected. And we don't have our middle point active, so do we not? Yeah, that's the middle. Okay, okay. And since I think our 3D cursor, I think it's in the center. Let's see. Go to view, and it is in the center of X. So what we're going to do here is go to item, and then let's go into tab object mode, and then go to item, and then 0. That should center it. There we go. All right, that's what we needed. And now I'm thinking we knife project in here. But I think before that, we should make our shell. That way we know how big everything is, how wide everything needs to be. So We don't need to worry about the shell actually fitting into the top barrel, just the bottom one here. And I'm thinking, if this is 3/4 PVC, I feel like we'll need to 3D print over this in order to get all the pump action stuff. So the PVC will basically be like a skeleton, like a bone inside of here, just to give it structure, and then we'll 3D print all this stuff on top of it and slide it on. So that being the case, it's really not going to leave much, if any, room though. Hmm. Hmm. And hmm. It's going to be kind of a thin shell in that case. But let me get my calipers out. Well, you know what? We can just make this shell. Let's go with Shift A. We'll make a circle. And we'll say that's going to be maybe 20 millimeters wide on the radius. Well, that's way too wide. Maybe more like 10. And let's boost this up to 64. That way our shell doesn't have a bunch of angles in it. I'll pull this out over here. And I'm probably just going to go from memory as to what this is supposed to look like. Say, let's put an F there for a face. And then we'll extrude and then hit Z to extrude along the Z axis. Let's actually get rid of this face. And then we'll extrude, right click, and then scale down with S. And then we'll extrude E and then E and then Z to extrude and then move along the Z axis. And then this will be like the brass part of it. And then we'll extrude and scale down just a little bit, just that tiny bit. And then we'll go up into the plastic area for buckshot, usually red. Let's scale this down and thinking, should we make an empty shell or a full shell? Because this thing's just going to go in and then pop out. So which one would be preferable, I wonder? We're going to extrude and then move downward with Z, and I guess we can leave it full. So then, you know, there's like that pinching that goes on in the top, and I wonder if we should worry about that at all. Let me think how I would want to do this. So let's go to our F3 and put our 3D cursor over here, and then Shift A, and then we'll make a plane. And then we'll make this maybe 20 millimeters as well. Drag this guy up with G, and then I'm going to go in edit mode, and then I'm going to right click and subdivide a couple of times, maybe 20 times. And then, well, actually, we might need more like 21 times just to give us a center point. Because an even number, we wouldn't have this middle lane here. So I'm thinking with those selected, we can use our proportional editing, turn that on, then it's automatically on smooth. So what I'll do from here is select more or less in the quadrants, and then we'll hit G and Z, then we'll roll G, Z, and then we'll roll in with our mouse to shrink the area that's being affected. If you roll out, it increases the area. So we'll do something like this to create that kind of pinching behavior. And then maybe we'll use our pivot point, median point, and then we'll kind of shrink it in, maybe. And we don't have to get crazy detailed. I feel like there might be a bit more pinching. So I'm going to take random ones with medium points still selected, and we'll zoom in a bit here like this. And that's okay. That's all right. Since this is already a separate object, let's go back in here, and then we will hit P to separate this circle, and then we're going to knife project into this guy. So we're going to make this our object, and then edit mode that, and then control left click on this so it's red. Let's get this top orientation, mesh, knife project. And now we have that. So let's invert selection with select, invert, and then we can get rid of those vertices. So now we just have this circular pinchy bit there. And then what we'll do, we'll actually get rid of this guy. We won't need him anymore. And then we will get rid of this face as well. And then we'll pull this down here like so, with G and then Z. And then with that selected, we'll shift left click to select this as well, and then control J to join them into a singular object. So now when we go into edit mode, we can play around with both of them at the same time. And I'm going to select, well, I'm going to try to select all these edges out here because we're going to want to bridge these edge loops if at all possible. Might not be the cleanest thing, but it doesn't need to be. Come on. Okay, let's turn off X-ray mode, and we are Alt left clicking it and then Alt Shift left clicking. Not interchangeably. The first click was Alt left click, and now I'm just holding Alt Shift and left click to collect these edges the best we can here. And that got a lot of them. Is that all of them? Turning off proportional editing as well as snap. We're not going to need that, and those two are not collected. Make sure that outer rim, not leaving anybody out. All right, and then we're going to go to edge mode by hitting 2 on the num strip and then loop tools, bridge. And now we got our shell. I think it's a little higher. I was putting it down so it can look kind of both empty and full, but yeah, it's probably not going to work all that well. Something like that. Using literally no reference images. Something like that. And maybe we can put the blasting cap or whatever onto this side. Right click with that face selected. We're in faces mode right now with 3 on the num strip. And then let's inset a face. I'll do something like this. And I mean, if you don't want to go through all this detail, you definitely don't have to. But I feel like it. So X only face, and we're gonna take that in vertices mode, and then we're going to use E to extrude, and we're gonna scale down a bit, and then we'll pull it back down. I'm gonna go off snap so we can snap this over here. I'm gonna pull it in again, and then we'll just put a face on it. And that's the part that the firing pin would hit normally to cause the gunpowder to spark up and blow off. So I think that's not a bad shell. Let me check for a second to see how big the typical 12 gauge slug is. Measurements. Standard shotgun shell has a hole diameter of 0.6 or 22.5 millimeters. 22.5 millimeters. Let's see if we're even close to that. So we don't have to be exactly, it's not that important, but it'd be nice to be in range of the real thing, you know? I don't know if that's the nominal hole or whatever it mentioned. 22.5, not really all that close. Let me get a piece of pipe. Well, because it's not actually gonna go into the pipe, is it? Hmm, that's another problem. The pipe is gonna have to go in here, because if it's just out here, it's not gonna have enough strength to actually sit in this area. Oh, that's gonna be another problem. We might have to push this breech back a bit just to give the pipe some purchase right here so we can glue it in place. Because the more you have, the more structurally sound it's going to be. And there are ways to reinforce it, but I don't want this to be a difficult prop for people to make. You know, not everybody has the tools and know-how to like drill holes and make precise measurements and all that kind of stuff. I'd like to have most of it print ready. Y'all are gonna have to cut some pipe, but that's not too difficult. Having said that, we could scale up a bit. Selecting the whole thing and then hitting S and then moving out. Still not that wide. Is this the whole thing? See what this measurement is. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's in spitting range. Should be fine. We'll get rid of those edges for now. But now that we have our shell, we can get a better idea of how big these breaches and such have to be. So let's say we're going to use this base diameter here. That is our widest point. I don't know if I'm off. Should be you. And let's just see how wide it is with these measurements. 22.9, so if that's the measurement, then we're basically on point, which is good. What was it again? 22.5, so actually a little big. We might be able to shrink it down. So, we got scale as our pivot point, medium point as our pivot point, and I'm gonna hit S to scale. Oh, wait, medium point as our pivot point. So we should be shrinking down, yeah. Why is it going up? Well, let's get that to 22.4. So maybe it's even more accurate. I'm not sure which measurement they're referring to with that, and I don't feel like looking it up or anything. But I think we're close. I think we're close. And so now that'll have to be 22 point forgot it again. 22.5. So this will have to be at least 23 wide. So let's get this measurement 20 there, and it is wide enough. It is plenty wide enough. Very nice, very nice. So this breech, being round up front might be useful, but being round in the back might make things a little trickier. So we might just end up flattening this out. Let's, I don't think people will mind too much. Let's get rid of that. And I don't know how round it is up front. It's fairly flat thing you're shoving in there, right? So you know what we'll do? We'll make our pivot point our active element, and with all this front selected, I'm going to hit S for scale and then X. No, S and then Y. That way we can shrink along this. Because I don't think we need all that roundness. Maybe it's for, like, if it's going in at an angle, which it would. Actually, it'd be more like this or so when you actually put it in there. So maybe that's why it needs to be a little round. And I think that'll fit. No problem. Yeah, that should be okay. I kind of want to tighten this up a little bit though. That's 20, that's 22.5, so it needs to be at least 23. So that is pretty tight already. Just thinking the smaller the door is, the less we'll have to take away from this area and thus keeping it structurally sound. So now I guess let's move this back with GY. That can still fit in there, right? Should be okay. Should be okay. Let's take this back a bit with GY, and should be plenty of room. Plenty of room there. And then I think we'll knife project into this guy now. So with the main body selected, we'll go in a tab with edit mode and then control left click on this. And then we'll go with this orientation directly from below. Then we'll go over to mesh, knife project. We'll put that right in there. Taking on X-ray mode. And so this can actually be cleared out, I think. So in edges mode, too, on the num strip, we're going to use circle select with C, and then just roll over all of these edges in here, and then X, and then delete those edges. So now we have the port hole that we're going to be using. Checking, is that flat? I can't see. Let's hide these reference images for a moment. For some reason that didn't look flat to me, but it is. It is flat against that face. Okay. Okay, so now we got to think of how we're going to put the other bits on there, and then this has to be about as wide. It's really not leaving a lot for that pump barrel to really fit in here, because it's only going to be held by that, and that feels like it'd be weak. And the top barrel's not going to be much stronger, so even if the barrels are braced together, this one, like up here, we can brace them together. In between, it's still not going to be super strong, and that does worry me a little bit, because I want to make a nice durable prop that people can have fun with, you know? I don't want it to just be a piece that you hang on a wall and can never actually do anything with. That's kind of boring to me. So I'm going to hold shift and then double click on this vertice. I'm pretty sure that's the middle one. And then we're going to hit E to extrude, and then right click G, Z. Then we're going to snap it up here. Actually, G, Z, snap it right to that one. Yeah, so that way we can have a continuous flow back into there. And what are we gonna do next? Let's get rid of this edge for a moment. Then I'm gonna Shift D to, wait. Seeing if that's necessary, because I want to bridge edge loops, but we have a bunch more edges here. And then, it doesn't really conform to the shape that we're looking for either. We could fix that with that middle part being what we're selecting on. Let's get these back, because we're going to do that to these two. Just select the whole thing. And then with this bottom part being our active vertice, I'm going to hit SZ, and then I'm going to try to stretch these out so they align up a bit better. I don't think they have to be precisely on there, but the closer the better, I would think. You know what might be easier? If we just go past this point and then knife project it onto there, we're probably going to get some weirdness, but I think that'll make it a little cleaner. So I'm going to Shift D on this ring, and then I'm going to hit P, separate selection. So this is now its own little ring here. I'm going to pull it out so we can see it better. And then I think we're going to hide all the rest of our shotgun here. So I'm just going to grab all these in X-ray mode. I mean everything behind where we're working, and I'm going to hit H to hide it. So now that's hidden. I guess we can hide this too. I don't think it'll matter, but with that, and then I'm going to hit Control left click on this guy, get this forward orientation, and then we're going to go into Mesh, Knife Project, and then Cut Through. I don't like that. Let's hit period to get back to where we were while you created this. It's easy enough to fix. I'm not sure why it made it over there instead of up here. Hope this will not reveal some horrible thing that happened. Let's just face these. Face those with F. And then we have our breach. And now that we have this angle down here, we don't really need this top one, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So now it's on the same kind of profile, I guess, of what we're doing here. So now this hole should be able to go all the way back here. So let's Alt-H to unhide everything. And I don't think we'll need this guy anymore, because we can just copy that one again. So now that we have this cut, we should be able to get the barrel sliding back there. Let me see how we gonna do that. So I guess we're up to here. So let's get rid of this selection on the bottom. Let's make sure we got X-ray mode on. So we get rid of everything but down here. And that should let us extrude back, and we'll right click and then G X, and we'll snap it back here. Oh, G Y, and snap it back here. Way we got that going. And then I think we can do that again. Let's get X-ray back on. I'm going to extrude, right click G Y, snap it back here. So we should have a nice circle, which we do, all the way around. And I'm going to go ahead and put faces in here just to show that completeness of our circle. This face seems wide. Oh. Let's get rid of that face. Wait a tick, that's outside. I feel like there should be another vertex in here. Because this face is quite small. Right? Where are we missing our vertices? So we got this edge. We got this edge. That's outside again. I want this one. We're definitely missing one. It's kind of hard to tell. Let's get these two, and then we'll extrude forward just to get a measurement. Yeah, that's the one we're missing. Control Z before that happened, and then hmm, let's use E to extrude back, and then right-click G, Y. I don't know what you're doing. I think that's a center point. We might take advantage of that at some point, so we can leave that right there. And there that is. So let's subdivide now this edge here, and then we got snap on. Let's put auto merge on as well. G, and then just snap that on. So now we have that smaller oh, well, need this one too. Subdivide, that's E, G, Y. Snap it all the way back here. Zoom in on that with period. Then we'll snap it there. Oh, auto merge back on. That way they're one vertex. No, that seems better. That's more equal to the other side. Alright, and we like symmetry here, so I guess we can get rid of those lines that we just put, unless we want to use them. And it's kind of hard to see with this outer shell. Let's get rid of that with hide. H for hide, just to put that away. And I guess this can be a face now. And so this will be the trickier part. Let's see what can be done. So Alt left clicking on this edge loop, and then Alt Shift left clicking on this other edge loop. It's not going to give me the whole thing. So we'll just have to manually select it, unfortunately. X-ray mode. Could we just go into vertices and select all these? Yeah, this might be faster. I'm gonna hit period, zoom in on what we're doing. You know what? Let's get it from this side. There we go. There we go. All right, back into edge mode, and then get rid of these two edge loops, or edges, and then let's see if we can bridge these. You know what? That's the regular bridge. Let's bridge with the loop tools, and that looks a lot cleaner. Yeah, we got a nice breach in there now. So that round is going to go into the pipe. I'm going to hit Alt H to bring back everything that we hid. So that's not even going to go into this. There's going to be the pipe that has to sit in there. Still worries me a bit, like this isn't going to be strong. So I'm going to pull all of this back. So with all those selected, I'm going to hit G, Y. We're just going to pull it a bit further back. Hopefully that little bit of room will give the pipe a little more to hold on to, because that's got me kind of worried. Okay, so now that we have that, I guess we can do the same thing over here. Though I did want to do something a little different with that. You know what? Let's focus on the bottom. Let's focus on the bottom. So my idea was to create a little door with the spring, but now that we're pushed back this far, the ramp idea might not work as well as well, it might. It might. We can elongate it. 'Cause that's, oh, jeez, but that pipe is going to be in the way. Most annoying. We got to deal with reality and whatnot. What we could potentially do just to help might be, instead of using my usual Schedule 40 pipe for this lower barrel, we can use that thinner pipe. That'll give us a bit more room. It won't be strong, but I don't think it really needs to be. I don't think it'll be that, because this isn't heavy or anything, and it can rely a bit on that pipe. Hmm, I don't like using that pipe, but maybe that's just what we're gonna have to do. But we'll sort that out a little later, I think. For now, let's just see if this concept with the door is even gonna work. So, first thing I'm gonna do, I think, is take that inner dimension. Um, we're missing this guy. Take these vertices, and I don't think we'll need most of them, just enough to cover this door. So maybe up to here? Maybe up to there on both sides. Let's deselect these guys. Doesn't look even though, does it? I guess it is though. Well, okay. Anyway, it should fit in here because we're gonna have to put this door through the barrel. It might be because it'll be just too large for this, and it's supposed to be. It's supposed to stop flat here. So putting it in through here, we'll also need the spring in here, which I guess we can put in first through this breach because that'll be smaller. Okay. You know what? If this is the center point, that'll be coming in handy. So we can Shift D to duplicate those. And then I will use active element to say extrude. And then using that as our active element, you know what? No, let's move this forward. Let's make sure auto merge is off now. G, Y. Oh yeah, this selected. Deselect that G, Y so we can pull it up. Oop, it auto merged. Yeah, I didn't do that. So Shift D again. G, Y. Pull that up here. And now with the center point selected as our active, we can hit S to scale in just a bit. But first, I think I'm going to hit E to get us this new measure. You know what? I don't like how we're overlapping here. So I'm just going to move this center point outward a little bit. And then let's collect those vertices again. Oh, you know what we could do? With those selected, I'm just going to take all of them. Is that extruding? Yes, it is. Shift D, just for the hell of it. Shift D. And let's take this out. And then we'll take that middle point, GY, snap it back there. This will be a lot easier now. And using that as our active element, we'll hit E to extrude and then S to scale inward. And I want to make sure we're at least 0.5 millimeters away. It's got one. Maybe we can give it a whole millimeter. 1 whole millimeter away from this outer shell so parts can hopefully fit. Usually you need 0.5 millimeters, but because of this curve, I'm not sure how that's going to react to it. So this should be fine, hopefully. And we're going to hit G, Y to bring that back. Then what I'm going to do is hit P and then separate this till selection because this is going to be a totally different item and I don't want auto merge and stuff getting us confused. So with that back here, I'm going to snap it there, and then I'm going to E to extrude, and then I'm going to bring it maybe about halfway, maybe less than halfway, because it needs to be beyond this lip just so it doesn't fall through, because it's going to be pressured by this spring. So we'll get that going. Let's take our central vertex here, and come on, yeah. GY and snap it back here. Then I think I'm gonna take using that as our pivot point again, turning off snap, and then just to give the door some thickness, but it also has to act as our ramp as well. Okay, so maybe not this part just yet. E, right click, S, scaling it in, say 1 millimeter for now. 1 millimeter, that's going to be really thin, but it doesn't need to be strong. And then what's going to need to happen, okay, so now I guess we should start working on this upper barrel. So I'm going to hit E with those selected and G, Y, just for now. I think we're going to snap it back here. Maybe even further, it looks like. Maybe back here. And I'm going to hit F to put a face on that. So now I'm thinking we'll have to have a ramp that goes up here. So let's see how much needs to be cleared for that to happen. Trying to select this edge. There we go. All right. So from here, I'm thinking the ramp will go up. Hmm. I don't know how sharp we can make this, but using what we've learned down here, we'll leave that in place for a second. We need some measurements. Let's see. Does this not have a middle point? I guess not. We can create one though. Let's just subdivide that edge, and then we'll hit E, and then E and then Z to bring that down. And that is about 2.3 millimeters. So that means, let's get the bottom of this, which I'm pretty sure that is. Let's extrude 2.3 millimeters. And that is where the bottom of our ramp is going to be. Did I activate one of those? Yeah, I think so. So GZ, and we'll snap it there. So the goal being, let's get this guy. We'll put a pivot point here. And well, yeah, oh well, 3D cursor with shift right click. You don't need to do this. I'm just doing this as an example to show you what I'm going for. So basically when we put the shell in, this door will move up, right? And then the shell will move into that barrel, and then the spring back here will be compressed at this point, so when it relaxes, once the shell is past the door, it'll come back down, creating this ramp. And so when we pump the gun, it'll have a spring here that'll push that shell up down here into this breech. And I'm thinking it'll also open this door, the pump action, and cause the shell to fly out. So you have to pump it kind of hard to launch it. That way every time you pump that and you have a shell load, it'll go flying out, which I think would look cool. Unfortunately, due to this system, we'll only be able to put one shell in at a time, because if you try to put more in and then pump it, all the shells will fly out at once. I don't know a way to lock it in so it only ejects one shell at a time. That'll require a bit more thought, but that's where we're going here. And I think we'll pick up in a little bit. I need a break. And if you don't want to go through all this modeling, I do have the STL files needed to print all of my 3D printable props available to supporters over on my Patreon. We currently have over 40 props available and are adding more all the time. This prop will also be made available once it's finished. So if you'd like to skip the modeling and gain access to an entire armory of 3D printable props, check out my Patreon, link in the description. It is only $5 a month and you gain access to the entire armory of over 40 props. Staying a member ensures you get access to everything new added to the armory immediately and of course, very much helps support the channel. Speaking of supporting, we have to show our gratitude to M. John Simon, a real hero of the channel, supporting at the hero tier. Become a hero to get yourself special mention in these very videos, and as always, like and subscribe to ensure you never miss out on the next video. Until then, I have been Ken with Kenjutsu Bring It to Life, and I am out.